Good morning. Happy October. I know that we are on a staggered date from our usual time, so thank you all for coming in the third Wednesday of the month instead of the second Wednesday of the month. I'm Jessica. I work on innovation and economic development. I know we have many staff members in the room as well as developers, so thank you, and agency folks. So thank you all for coming out this morning. Today's topic is actually one that probably is going to feel very relevant to everyone, given that we've had earthquakes both of the last 2 days right around Pleasant Hill. I heard there was another one last night. Did anyone feel the one last night also? Yeah, a couple. My Twitter feed certainly felt it last night. So tonight we'll be talking about some updates to the California Building Standards Code. We'll also be talking about some improvements that we are making to the permit center experience, both online and offline in person. So thank you for coming again today, and I will begin by introducing Frank Kong, our Chief Building Official.
Thank you, guys. Everybody hear me okay? Good morning. My name is Frank Kong. I'm the building official of the city. I'm honored today for this opportunity to share the code adoption process and some cities' proposed amendment with you. So before I started, does everybody get a copy of the slides? We have something over there staggered in the desk. You feel free to grab a copy. So first we talk about adoption of the 2019 California Building Standards Code. Now what is that term? Where that building standard code coming from? Actually it comes from California code regulation called CCR, and also in the health safety code. And as you might know, there's a totally about 28 titles in CCR, and the Title 24 in the CCR is basically designated for the regulations to design a building and the structures. Okay, so there's a totally about 13 separate parts in Title 24 as listed here. And also the health safety code refer to Title 24 as the California Building Standard Code. That's where the term's coming from. Next one is this is a kind of our introduction about the code adoption process and the code development. The first, it is a base code. California Building Standard Commission does not develop their own code, from scratch, from the paper. Instead, they use some kind of a model code, somebody called a base code, which is developed by the International Code Council, okay, and also some other national organizations. For example, NFPA developed the International Electrical Code, which later became California Electrical Code. Okay, same thing for mechanical code and the plumbing code is developed by the International Plumbing and the Mechanical Officials. So, but by and large, most of the code in the California Building Standard was developed by the International Code Council called ICC. Now, after the base code or the model code developed, which is updated every 3 years, then the California Building Standard Commission will modify the code based on California's unique situation and come from a California Building Standard Code. And then the local jurisdiction, like the city, county, or town, they could adopt the code by modifying a certain item there. So then becomes their local municipal code, like in Walnut Creek. So this overall flows how the code is developed and how it's adopted by the city. So next one is talk about the statewide adoption timelines. So as you can see from the beginning, that's where the 2018, so we talk about 2019 Building Standard Code, right? So from here, about September 2017. So 2018 I code or the base codes were published from here. And then it took about a year until September 2018. California Building Commission and the state agencies, they make amendment to prepare for the California Building Standard Code. And then it takes some time to make sure it complies with state code, and then hear back from the public, right? And then officially ready in the February of this year for publish. And July 1st, around here, 2019, is the day when the California Building Standard Code publish and be ready. So by law, from here, there will be required 180 days from the publishing date to become effective for this law. So January 1st, 2020, the new California 2019 Building Standard Code will become effective. And from July 1st to December 30th, this period is for local government to adopt the code and have the opportunity to make the code more stringent based on the following criteria. And that's what we're doing right now. Now, for cities adoption, so in November, we're going to present our local amendment to council on 2 days. The first reading will be on the November 5th for the first reading, and November 19th will be the second reading. So during the presentation to council on those 2 days, we're going to adopt most part of the California Building Standard Code, except the California Fire Code. The reason is the city has a contract with our Contra Costa County Fire District. So our fire district has to first make an amendment and present to the county director, board of directors. So after that become effective, get approved. Now I will bring the amendment to council sometimes early next year, so to get the fire code adopted. Okay, so this pretty much summarizes the citywide code adoption process here. Now we talk about, here's the amendment for structure part. So we do have 4 structure amendments proposed right now. So the first 2 is to talk about, we try to restrict certain type of a seismic bracing method in commercial constructions and residential constructions. More specifically, this is a gypsum board. We not allow the gypsum board to be used as a seismic bracing, okay, to hold an earthquake. It may be good for last night earthquake, but may not be good for future big ones to come. And the PCP, this is a Portland cement. Typically, people call it stucco. Commonly use it. So because stucco is strong in the beginning for smaller earthquakes, but it will crack during large earthquakes. So we try to limit stucco to be only used in one-story garage or something we call U occupancies. Okay. And the third one is for concrete footings. We mandate special inspection for concrete footing with a higher strength, typically more than 2,500 psi. So this way we can have a better quality control, because usually this spread footing is kind of an isolated footing, supports big column, of the structure. So it's very critical for the structural safety during earthquake. So we think require special inspection will give another eye to improve the quality control of the construction. And the last one is we try to eliminate the plain concrete wall footings, which is support kind of like a typical retaining walls, and some kind of stem walls, few feet above the footings, above the soil. The reason we all know the plain concrete means just a concrete cement without steel rebar. And Northquake earthquake and the recent other earthquakes nationwide or even internationally, so we found out the plain concrete behave very bad. They have a lot of a crack after earthquake, which require retrofit, sometimes even cause the collapse of the buildings. So in Walnut Creek, we have a lot of earthquake zones here, and so that's why we say we don't allow it plain concrete. Instead, we'll ask for minimum steel rebar reinforcement. So this is the findings and justifications for what we would propose. So as we said, this is a proposal, this full structure amendment. Staff believe it is necessary to minimize earthquake damage. And the second, it is consistent with the local jurisdictions. And there is a uniform, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I don't know, I pushed it that far. Huh? Okay. So there is a local tri-chapter uniform code committee. So all those 4 amendments were recommended coming from there. And last one is this is more like a carry forward of our previous code amendment. In the current code, 2016 California code, we already have these 4 amendments. So this is proposal is more like a carry forward from current one. So next one we talk about interesting part, I think it's called EV parking requirement here from Calgary. So in 2019 California Green Building Code, they mandate certain percentage of the parking spaces to be EV electrical vehicle spaces for if it's built a new multifamilies and a new commercial buildings. So Walnut Creek is proposed to have a more higher standard. Instead of making the EV space capable, we talk about you had to have a fully operational charging station there. So what's that mean? Let me share some basic term about the EV charging. Okay. So first, you heard a term called level 1. So level 1 charger is a kind of old school. Somebody started maybe 5 years or even more, even earlier. So it's a slow charger. You can tell it only charges about 3 or 4 miles every hour. If you have a car, electrical vehicle, which is good for 100 miles, imagine you could take you 24 hours to get ready, right? It's very slow. Now, level 2 is more like a most recent technology. So it's very efficient, but it requires powerful raceways, the wire. Typically, it's a similar wire required for your clothing dryers, right? It should be 240 volt, and it's much faster. It's charge about 25 to 30 miles per hour. This is very common right now, kind of a standard for a lot of people to use at home. Now, the last one is level 3 or more advanced. I think right now, most people, if you have a Tesla, you know what this means, right? So Tesla is kind of give you this opportunity. They have a station there. You can go there to charge very, very fast. Like you can 1 hour, you can charge 200 miles. Basically, you can stay there 45 minutes, you're done, ready for the whole day, right? So now in the 2019 code, we only allow level 2, parking charging stations right now in the city. So next one is a term called capable. So we cover some terms here we're going to refer to. What it means electrical vehicle capable. This means we do provide some infrastructures. So if you want to install future EV chargers, they are already there. So what is the infrastructure we talk about? So you need to size your electrical panel to make sure it have enough capacity. You do need to bring continuous conduit or raceway, minimum 1/2 inch, 1 inch diameter, coming from the panel to the future locations, of the future chargers. And you do need to have a junction box in the termination where the raceway terminated. And also you do need to have some, on the panel, you do need to have a branch circuit over there, okay, ready, and some space there for future installation of the breakers. So it's overcurrent protection device. So, and also you need to put a signage over there in a panel, talk about EV capable, and also in the termination. Go ahead.
Is this change that is this a California statewide requirement, or is this a local?
This is the terminologies, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay, yeah, so somebody we call EV capable. That means you put kind of underground wiring, is a panel here, you provide a raceway to where you're going to potentially future, you're going to install a EV charging here. For example, yeah.
I was just wondering if this is a change that Walnut Creek is going to.
We didn't change, this is the definition.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you for the clarification, okay. So next one is more like called EV ready. It basically plug and play, right? So you have everything there, including the charging. On top of the EV capable, you already have the charger there, right? So you have the charger there. So something like here. So the car, can plug into here and they can start charging. And one special case under the EV ready is called EV charging station. It's basically a level 2 charger and is a fully operational, fully installed. This is something, samples of the charger you can see in downtown, like a City's Garage and Broadway and other locations there. So in our code adoption, we only require either EV capable or you require to install EV charging stations. So this one we don't use it, but this is EV charging station is a kind of a special case, for EV ready. So everybody okay with the terminology? Okay. All right, so let's look at the what is the code mandatory requirement and what is city's amendment. So here's the 2016 Calgreen, which is currently we are enforcing. It only requires 3% of EV capable infrastructure only, right? For apartment buildings more than with 17 units or more, you will trigger 3% EV capable for the infrastructure. Now in the new code, which is going to be effective next year, Calgary mandate 10%. So it jumped from 3 to 10, level 2 capable, right? Now here's our proposal. So we kind of massage together in a situation. Say we still keep 10% total of the parking space to be for electric vehicle, but we say only 5% are EV capable with the infrastructure built, and another 5% you have to be ready, operational with these EV chargers over there. Now we do understand there are situations here. For example, in affordable housing here, we understand in the city and in the whole state we have a housing crisis. So we said, okay, we give a break for affordable housing if you have more than 60% of the unit are affordable dwellings. In this case, you can have a 10%, you go back here, either you have minimum is a 10% level 2 EV capable here, or if somebody want to do better, they can have any combination of this. So basically say, as long as you make it 10%, you mix with the EV capable infrastructure and also the stations, EV charging station you install. So in this case, for example, you could have 6% of EV capable and 4% of the parking garage to have the station installed. Or you can have 9% EV capable and 1% of the garage parking spaces as an EV charging station. So, and this is something we think is it's reasonable and try to encourage the affordable housing to be built in the city of Walnut Creek. So new commercial buildings, hotels, and motels. Again, so 2016, 2019, the Calgreen mandatory requirement is still the same. So they do have a table there based on the number of parking space available, and they start from 0 and percent if there's one. For parking space less than 9 parking spaces, they don't require anything. But when you have more parking spaces, so the Calgreen will require up to 6% to be electrical vehicle capable, which means you build infrastructure over there, okay, for 6%. Now, what we amend here is we said, okay, we keep 6% for our hotels and the commercial buildings, but all 6% of the parking spaces have to be, EV charging station available, which means you have to build 6% of the space to be ready to charge the electrical vehicles here. So why we do that? So this is our benefit, the benefit for proposed changes. We think obviously by requiring more operational charging station will increase the electrical vehicle readiness in the city of Walnut Creek. And secondly, by offering more EV charging stations with more electric vehicle readiness available in the city, it will reduce the vehicular trips of the vehicles which use the fossil fuel. And in turn, it will reduce the air and noise pollutions, combat climatic changes, and improve the health and the lifestyle of the city, of the residents. So this is pretty much the summary of our proposal here, and I would like to hear any questions or feedback from the community here. Any questions? No? Okay, Jessica.
Are there other communities who are making similar changes? Oh, sorry.
Here.
I'll get my own mic.
There is one in the back here.
Oh, great. Perfect. Are there other communities that are making similar changes?
Sure, yeah. I think that's a good question. So in the city of Walnut Creek, it's kind of falling behind on the Cal Green requirement, especially on the EV charger. I think you refer to that, right? So like giving example, and our county, Contra Costa County, so they require new commercial buildings, similar requirement as we're proposing right now for current code, which means we are kind of 3 years behind our county neighborhood. So I think as a kind of the very downtown of the county, I think Walnut Creek is very premium, right? I think we try to catch up. So yeah, and Kara can provide you more information about other cities or counties. Kara, do you want to share something here? Kara is one of our, maybe you announce yourself.
Hi, so I'm Kara Batista Rao. I'm a sustainability coordinator and housing analyst. And there are a number of other communities that have already adopted these codes. So in past code cycles, cities like Fremont and Palo Alto kind of went above and beyond and required more EV chargers. And this current code cycle, there's a lot more cities. There's up to 17 in the South Bay and San Mateo, Hayward, San Jose, and I'm not even looking at North Bay yet, but there's many, many cities who are looking at either expanding the percent of parking spaces that require some level, like EV capable, or EV chargers actually installed.
Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot one more time, Kara, and you may or may not have the answer. I know in the past we've talked some about grant programs or other ways that people can turn to outside funding sources to help them do this. Do you know if those are still available? How would they find out about that?
Generally, those programs where there are rebates for EV chargers or financial help tend to be for retrofits because it's much more expensive to go back. It's actually cheaper in new construction if you do more of this up front, so you're kind of saving money in the long run. But if people have specific questions, they can come to me, and then there are a lot of those programs are on our website. walnut-creek.org/goinggreen has a bunch of the programs for financing chargers.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good morning. I am just going to grab my slide.
So maybe I can say a few words here. So in the next two sections, Jessica is our permit center supervisor. Will share with you two new things in our permit center. One like development service permit center. And so the first one she's going to talk about is online permitting, which is rolled out past Monday. And next one we talk about some kind of permit center improvement. So I will leave the time to Jessica.
Yes. Good morning. As Frank mentioned, I am Jessica Azevedo. I'm the permit center supervisor. And then I also have...
I'm Tracy Smith. I'm a permit technician.
So today we're going to co-host this. We have about 3 topics that we're going to cover. And as Frank mentioned, the first one will be our online permitting services, which we are very excited to chat about. So for those of you who don't know, as you can see on the screen, Acela Citizens Access is the portal for customers to sign in so that they have access to Acela, which is our permitting software. And so we are very pleased to announce that rolled out on Monday. So we now have options for online permits. Just to be clear, this is specific for residential projects only and for contractors. They would need to apply. So not homeowners at this time. Okay. All right. Applying for residential permits online, you can check the status of your permit. You can view and schedule and reschedule inspections. And then the permit history you can also search. So once you register for your account on the Citizens Access, you'll be able to do all of these things online. It keeps track of the history of the permits that you've pulled, whether you pull 1 or 50 permits. So that's really great. And then how customers may apply. This is actually what you will see when, as the customer, from the customer's view, when you go to sign up for any permit online. So this is the home page. You'll see that there's the building permits, there is planning, and then there is engineering also that offer online permits at this time. As you can see, the one that's highlighted, it does say that's for the new e-permits. We call the e-permit as abbreviation for the electronic version online permit. As you can see on the left-hand side, oops, sorry, we have the breakdown of what each division does. So it's the building has EV, which Frank chatted a lot about, right? So that's exciting. We have a lot of construction with EV, and that also ties in with our battery. And then we have solar, which is a very, very popular permit. We have a lot of solar permits. So I'd imagine we'll see quite a few of these online. And then we have re-roof, water heaters, HVAC, which is the furnace and air conditioners, and then miscellaneous electrical permits. So that miscellaneous electrical would be more of a minor panel upgrade, something pretty simple. And then we've got planning, who can do home occupation permits now online, and then engineering, who can do tree removal permits and encroachment permits. So this is exciting. Types of permits eligible for online. There is a breakdown. So the permits requiring review are the EVs, battery, and solar, as well as re-roof. So all of those require minor review, but it's still online. We'll get into detail about how that works in a little bit. The auto issue permits, which means there's no interaction from staff, it's 100% online, is the water heaters, HVAC, and then the miscellaneous electrical. Permits requiring review. So this is where we get in a little bit more detail when a permit does trigger a review from staff. So the customer submits online the application and the plans. The building inspector will review them digitally, and then the building inspector has the option to send out comments digitally and or approve it. The customer has the option to resubmit online, and there's notifications throughout the process which tell you you've submitted, you have comments, or it's been approved, so those will be sent via email throughout the process. And then, once it's been approved, the customer then is prompted to pay online and then print the plans and their receipt online. Auto issue permits, that much simpler. You're gonna apply online, the customer completes, it prompts you for a payment right away, then the permit's auto issued, and then the customer can print it out for the field. And then there's notes on there which actually tell you where you'll display the project and job card. It is very easy and convenient. You can do it from any smart device, anywhere, anytime. This is a screenshot of what you would see when you log in for the very first time, and or if you log in at any time. It will prompt you for your username and password. And then there's a list on the left-hand side which talks about the details of what each permit would need. So there's requirements for each permit, so you don't have to get so far into the permit and then realize you need something else. It will actually prompt you with an informational bulletin on what you'll need to proceed if you choose to do a re-roof or a solar permit. And customers can view all of their records at any point in time. As we mentioned earlier, there were quite a few things that you can do online, and one of them is to check statuses. So as you can see on the left-hand side under action, there's also status right next to that. It shows you if you've got a resubmittal, that's required, or your permit's been issued, if fees are still due. So this is especially good for contractors that have large scale of permits that they are trying to submit at one time. Re-roofs will get 25 at one time. So this keeps a very good track of where they're at. Did I pull a permit for this job site? This would show that on there.
So you do have to be a registered user to do the online permits. There's limited information you can see on there if you aren't a registered user. So you would have to register when you first go to the e-permit center and you start an application. This is the first question you're going to get. You can only do one at a time. So you're going to choose what this one example is going to be solar. And continue the application. The first section is going to be location. We want to narrow it down and make sure that the address is in our jurisdiction. If it's not in our jurisdiction, it's not going to let you proceed. The parcel and the owner are going to autofill, so and that can be changed if the owner isn't the up-to-date owner. Let's see. So step 2, people. You're going to choose your information, who's applying, which you have to be a California state licensed contractor with an active state and city license. We're not accepting owner builders at this time to apply online. And the licensed professional information, you have to add both of those to continue. The next step is the application information. So just like our paper application, it's going to ask you for the description, valuation, and it's going to have some specific, so it'll be specific to each different type of permit, different questions to filter out and make sure it's a residential, make sure they're not relocating anything that they shouldn't be. It'll prompt you to come into the office if that's not acceptable. So for the ones that need review and plans, it's going to have you upload those plans here. Some of them need plans, some of them need other documents. You're going to upload those and continue. Those are available to our inspectors when they go into on our end to see the plans. You're going to have a chance to review before you submit, and this will give you, make sure everything is accurate. And then there are terms and conditions that you will agree to. Once, upon approval, you will receive an email like this that Jessica mentioned before. There will be emails along the way. This one is saying that it's been approved, and then you can log in and pay. Payment screen, pretty self-explanatory. And then record issuance, it's going to say your permit has been issued. It's going to prompt you to print out your field inspection card and your approved set of plans, if applicable, to have those on the job site. And we have a printout when you leave or by the door of our online permit services website on walnut-creek.org. So that'll give you more detail of what you need for each type of permit. And then there's also a detailed step-by-step tutorial on there too. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you both for the presentation. So quick question, just to clarify a couple of points. So you mentioned uploading documents. My assumption, and I want to clarify, is it has to be a PDF format, not a JPEG, not an iPhone snapshot of a piece of paper. I mean, right, can you confirm it has to be PDF? Or what format is acceptable, I guess?
Yes, it would be a PDF format. And then if for some reason, let's just say we received something that wasn't legible, it wasn't in the correct format, it's something that we can't take, that would be what we would actually be able to send out plan check comments on. and request in detail, please upload a PDF and XYZ, whatever it might be. Yes. Any other questions before we?
You mentioned this is a subset of permits and types. What do you expect the expansion of this program to look like over time?
Specific to the permits that we've rolled out currently?
Yeah, what else do you expect to maybe grow online as time passes?
For right now, I think that this is where we're going to stop, only because there's extensive plan review that's required with pretty much almost anything else. For example, kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels, and if you get any bigger than that, and even at that level, there's often structural review and or architecturally engineered, professionally designed criteria and stamps that are required. So there's a lot more interaction. We may expand, but at this point, I think we're going to stop there. Did you like to add?
Yeah. The City of Walnut Creek Development Service, including engineering, planning, and building, it's exploring digital review, electronic review kind of solutions. So this online permitting is more like a stepping stone or testing trial, to prepare us. We learn something from here, maybe give a year or so. We learn from here, we know, I think that would be good preparation for us to move to the digital review. So the electronic submittal too here.
Thank you.
Is someone working on a spreadsheet or something that you can go into online that actually you can put in information on your project in order to have it spit out your fee estimates?
Yes, we do, and we currently have something online. Jessica, what is it's called? Open Counter. Open Counter.
So we do have Open Counter that will do an initial estimate for certain types of projects, but as part of the Blueprint V2, where we just finished the approval of the document for the next 18 months of work, one of the things that was on there was a fee calculator that will allow and make sure that for more types of jobs, you can actually go in and get a rough estimate of what you're expecting. So that actually came directly out of feedback that, in fact, Deb, you might have actually given at a prior forum. So that was something that we had heard from multiple people and then funneled into that plan.
I had one other quick follow-up question, just a clarification point. When you're going through and showing the permit history, when someone logs in through Citizen Access Portal, they're able to see their permit history relative to, in this case, you had a bunch of mechanical permits, M permits shown. But I also noticed across the top there were also planning applications and engineering permits. The assumption being that someone could log in and look for a given location, 123 Happy Street here in Walnut Creek. They could look at their engineering permits that may have been issued, but also their planning permit history. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, but keep in mind it's limited to the type of permit that they can pull. So for example,
thank you.
Yes, for planning, you can only pull at this point HOPs, which is a home occupation permit. And so that would be a history of just your home occupation permit.
Thank you. That was the follow-up I was going to say is, could someone log in remotely to say, is there in fact a use permit on site to do a bank at this location? And that's not the direction that we're at least currently.
Correct.
This is really only to check the permit history of those permits that may be issued online.
Yes, very specific to the contractor that pulled that type, yes.
Thank you.
Not the entire records on a property.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying.
All right. Are we good? Let's jump to the next subject. QLess. I'm excited for this one. Okay. What is this? QLess is our new electronic sign-in system. And right after this slideshow, we'll jump into our front counter improvements where you'll actually see it. But in short, you can sign in remotely from your home desktop or your smartphone. And if you choose to use your smartphone, you actually get updates while you wait. Better yet, you can come on down and sign in at our front counter kiosk. How to sign in? It's very simple. Alrighty. So we'll pop back to the slide. So we have a cut sheet of this. This is important because if you decide that you would like to check status at any point in time for lines, wait times for the City of Walnut Creek in any division, we'll cover all the details in the division in a minute. You can get the QLess app and join it, and it will show you if there are wait times and what the wait times are for each division. So in short, the middle little icon that says text or call, if you text or call, there's also an SMS code, which is CEDWC. If you put that into your phone, you will actually have the option to enter into any line, and then it will prompt you with the wait times. And so you can join a line from anywhere, wait wherever you like. You will get updates to tell you when you're next in line or what time you have left, and it will prompt you with what those queues are for whichever service you want, if you want to know how long it's going to take, or if you're about to be seen, or whatever if you need more time, you can put that in as well. And then from there, you'll get notified when it's your turn. I believe it's a 5-minute leeway of when you get that update. So you can choose your method to sign in. And what that means is on your smart device or at our front counter kiosk, when you begin, it will ask you for your cell phone number. Because should you choose not to wait in our office, or if you're doing this from home, you would need the notifications to give you a prompt when we'll be ready to call you. So you do have the option to not use your phone. It's not mandatory. No phone, no problem. The phone is optional. So but if you choose to enter your phone number, you will receive those push notifications. Next, you can tell us who you are so that we know how to address you and call you up to the counter. You can use first name, last initial, last name, however you like, as long as we can call you by name and you know what that means. Then the next option that you have is to enter your email address or permit number, site address. You could even put a note in there if it helps us determine how to help you better. You can enter that. But again, it's optional. You can bypass that screen. So at any point in time on that screen, you have the option to move back or next at any point in time if you're wanting to just skip to the next page and bypass the email information. So choose who you are here for. You do have the option to join in more than one line. So if you know you're here today to see planning and housing, you can pick both of those at the same time. Once you choose a line, so let's say, for example, on this screen, it would be building, then a pop-up will elaborate on their screen to show you what that division can help you with. So there's single-family remodels, additions, solars, ADUs, new building permits. And let's say that's not the line for you. You can move back from that. But again, if it is, then you would select one, and that's pretty much you're entered into that queue, into that line. So what would you like to get in line for? Here is a list of all of the divisions and lines, which is called a queue, that we have available to you. Permit center, building, workflow, plan check engineer, planning, engineering, traffic engineering, housing, and sustainability. Each line or queue has a list of service types. So again, that pop-up, which elaborated on each queue, those are called the service types. So it will explain which each division can help you with and consists of. Remember, at any point in time, like I had mentioned earlier, you can move back or next. So if you picked a line that you decided, oh, that's not for me, not a problem, just back out and just pick another line. After you select a line and a type of service, you are done. You can have a seat and wait for your name to be called. It will appear on our monitor at the front counter. And that is exactly what it looks like to you. It is on a TV monitor at our front counter. So while you're seated, you can see either your 4 digits of your phone number or your name, as the example shows here, and your estimated time. And then, of course, as customers are called up to the counter, which, by the way, when we do call your name, it says now serving, and then the technician that's helping you or the planner or engineer will call by name. And so you'll know when you're called because it'll pop right up. All right. Here is a little video.
Today, we're at an incredible intersection of life and technology. Everywhere we go, our devices go with us, telling us where to go, how to get there, and letting us share our lives with the world. But there are those places where life comes to a grinding halt. Like waiting in line here, or here, or here, or here. It's no surprise we don't like capturing these moments. Do we really need to spend our lives waiting in line? With QList Queue Management, we've designed an effortlessly modern way to stop living your life in line. Simply find your location from a list of nearby queues, then choose what you're getting in line for, where you'll see your estimated wait time and how many people are ahead of you. QList will keep you updated via push notifications, so you'll always know how close you are to being served. This way, you're free to live your life in line however you want, whether you want to grab a quick bite, or treat yourself to a little shopping, or just live life to the fullest. And the best part is, we'll let you know when to come back just in time. Because with QList, you'll never lose your place. Who knew waiting in line could be so much fun? QList. The wait is over.
And so that about sums up everything that I just chatted about. In short, you can kind of put a visual with it. But in all honesty, I have to say, I think most of you would agree with me, mainly customers as well. I don't think our wait times are as relevant as what's shown, for example, for other organizations which were listed on there. However, sometimes we can have, maybe a 30 or 40 minute wait, and that's still good for our customers to know. So, any questions before I pop up? Yes. Thank you.
So if I'm coming in for multiple departments, so if I get in line I need to see building and planning. So if I'm in line for a building, is there one that takes priority over the other, or whoever calls me first? Is that how I would go do my building business first, or my planning business first? And then my second question to that one is, if I'm in line for a building and I'm done, do I slip on over to planning, and do I cut in front of other people that are waiting for planning?
Okay.
How does that work?
All right. First question. You can be entered into, like you mentioned, 3 queues at one time. So let's say you have building, planning, and engineering. It is a bit unlikely that we'll all be available to call you at the same time. However, let's just say that does happen. You will have excellent customer service that day. We will all be there to help you. But in all honesty, it's usually whoever's next available. So let's say engineering happens to be available first because building has a customer, and then so on and so forth. Each on our end, we have an iPad which is specific to our customer. So if I'm engineering, my customer, you're building, your customer. So we are able to help you and serve you individually for ourselves, even though you're in 3 different lines. And so, does that answer it for the most part? When you're done with me, then what I would do is close you out of my line and then wait. Automatically, you're still in the other line. You don't get closed out of that line. So then when you're done with that, say, second line, you can close out of that one. And then the third person that's helping you, in most cases, they'll be the ones to kind of wrap things up and or figure out if you still need to go to see the permit technician to close out your completion of your service today. So for example, if you're here for a permit and you're actually picking up a permit today and everything was great, building, planning, and engineering have all cleared it, then you'd be moving over into our permit tech queue. So the last person that served you, mainly it's usually our building division or plan check engineer, would be the one to push you into that queue where you would then pay, obtain your permit, and head on your way. What do you?
Almost there. So does my position in other queues, is it altered based on, so if I sign in at 10:31 a.m. for all 3, and I'm done with building, but someone else signed in at 10:32 for planning, and now it's 10:36, and maybe they're waiting a little longer, do I cut in front of them?
So
because I signed in before them? So am I ahead of them in all the queues? Does that
you
make
would
sense what I'm asking?
Yes. Okay, so it's first come, first serve. So QList has really fine-tuned the art of standing in line and making sure that it's fair and first come, first serve. So I'm going to throw this out there. This may answer. So let's say that Jessica signed in remotely from her cell phone at 10:30, but you signed in at the kiosk at 10:31. Jessica comes walking in and they happen to call her name because she got her push notification. She showed up perfect, right on time. They're going to call her name first. And you're thinking, I didn't even see her here. She signed in remotely. It is fair. I promise you it's fair. So you're in there at 10:31 and somebody signs in right after you, whether it's remotely or here in the office at 10:33. You would be next in line first, and then the customer would be served. If for some reason that the queue that you were in was lasting a little bit long, it went longer than expected, you're still first on the radar for, say, planning. So they would come out, call your name Frank, they would see that you're still with the building division, and they can come and assist you there. If you were pretty preoccupied and couldn't interact to the level that you needed to, we do have an option for that, which would be, you can say, can you push me back 5 minutes, let me finish with building, and then no problem. Planning can go ahead and assist that next customer that was there at 10:33, and then you slide right back in. Does that? Yeah, it's really great. And I don't know if you guys, this is not a shout out specifically, but ironically, right after we opened up this queue list, I went to AAA because I had to register my vehicle for DMV. And I was like, I don't want to go to the DMV. Oh, I know, I'll go to AAA. They have a DMV office there. Oh, yes, they have queue lists. Yeah. It was an hour and a half, I think, wait. But there's a Target, and you don't have to wait there. It was great. I was just saying. Okay. Any other questions? I know we're on a time limit here. I just wanted to give like two front counter updates. So I'll run through this really quickly. So this is our iPad that's at the front counter. That's the kiosk that I was talking about where you will now be signing in on. And then in the background, you'll see that big TV monitor up there. You can vaguely see it, but that's your name and the wait times that are up there. We do have some signage as soon as you get off the elevators and also the stairwell, which tells you the development services permit counter and the list of all the divisions that are available to try and direct any traffic. And then here we have our new sign in here that's highlighted in red at the top of the screen, so you can tell where to sign in. And then we've added some lighting and improvements to our tables down the hallway there because we know that there's spaces hard to come by, and so we are always needing additional space to help customers and serve them with their documents and plans. So this has proved to be really successful. We have a lot of use out of these tables so far. So there's some updates to our front counter that we're pretty excited about. Yeah. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions, or I'll hand this off to Jessica.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up today just by thanking everybody in the room. I think it took people from every angle to start making these incremental improvements, everything from keeping us safer, keeping us greener, keeping us waiting in fewer lines, and able to actually get out and about and explore the city that we have. All of this came from hard work and creative ideas at the staff level, but also hard work and honest, candid feedback from the community level. So we're really grateful for that collaboration. And with that said, we will break here and we'll send out more information about the next Development Services Forum over email. Thanks, everyone.